Hello everybody. Here we are going to see the last part of unit 1 and then we are going to continue with the unit 2 which we are going to start it. Now the last part, which is the axiomatic semantic. Axiomatic semantic, what we are going to see it. What do you mean by this one? And we are going to see the other part. Let's move on to this one. What is axiomatic semantic? For an example, if I take any program, a small program, we can able to tell you what is the input and what will be the output. We are going to see with the help of an example. Control A, delete. We are going to see with the help of a small example. Let's take example. I have completed include std.h, and then I'll move on to with main. Then I'll write enter something which I don't do. I'll just write printf, enter the value of n, int n. Okay, then scanf %d ampersand n. Then what we have, printf the value of n %d n. That's it. So what is this? I'm going to get the value. I'm going to let's take example. I have given this one as 5. Okay, now sorry, enter the value of n. I have entered 5. So this is nothing but, yes, it is an integer, and I'm going to print the value of n, that is 5. Okay, a simple program which you say that it is taking a value of n. Value n is an integer which is taking a value of 5 and everything. Now if I say what is this, I'm defining an integer which can hold the value of n, and then it is going to it is asking you to enter the value, computer is storing it, and then again it is printing it. What I have defined here, I have defined what is, it is integer value, what it is doing, printing the value. I have defined parts. Now let's move on to this slide. What it says, it says that according to our requirement, behave how the program is behave. For a small program, you can able to tell what is the input and what will be the output. For a very big program, for an infix to postfix, which you are going to learn later on, or a trees or something like that, where what will be the input and what will be the output, you have to specify. More abstract type you have to give, like here it is giving this one program the meaning of a specified the program. More abstract type it has to give. So you are explaining each and every line of it, and you're telling what will be the input and how the program is going to do it and how it's going to execute it. That is nothing but axioms. What is axioms semantic? It give you verification rules. It give you what are the verification rules for a program. It give you what are the verification rules of a program. How your program is verified. What are the ways you can verify? Let's take an example. What are the ways you verify? Yes, it is an integer. You have, if you specify character, if I give a character value here, what will happen? It will not take it, correct? And then next part is that symbolic execution of bug hunting. If you have any error, then it has to give you the specified one. Then software validation. If you have developed a software, what are the validation tools of it? If you see Windows and other things, there are the tools which are given to you which verify it. Then malware detection, error detection. Malware means nothing but a virus detection. How you are going to detect it? If a software has been very big software with all programs you have divided, then if a malware is attacked on it, how you are going to detect it? Automatic generation. These are the points which you are going to see. These are the 5 points which are good. Program verification, yes, we are going to see it. Symbolic bug hunting. If an error is there, we have to specify. Software tools, software validation tools, we have to specify. And then malware, that is nothing but what you call virus one. And then this is automatic generation. So these are the part of semantic. This is what these are axiomatic semantic. These are the part of axiomatic semantic. What is this? Each and every line has to, if it is a very big program, each and every line has to specify what will be the input and what will be the output and other things. what will be the input and what will be the output. It has to specify how the program is going to execute it and how the things are going to execute in the program. You have to specify like what we have specified here. Like what we have specified, all the things are. With this, we'll wind up our unit 1. This is a part of a unit 1 which I've already finished. Now let's move on to unit 2. In the unit 2, we are going to see data types. It's all different types of data types we are going to see. Now let's move on to data type. This is what data type we are going to see. All this one, review this one, and we have got introduction, we have got primitive data types. We are going to see these, all those things, but hopefully we are going to this the user defined. We are going to see all these 3-4 in our today's class. Okay, today class we are going to see all those things. Now let's move on to other. What is the introduction part of? Now here, a computer science and computer program, a data type is attribute of data. What do you mean by an attribute of data? Attribute of a data. Attribute of a data means which specify the properties of it, which specify the properties of data, what you're going to specify. If you specify integer, it has to tell me what is an integer. It can hold the integer value. If you specify character, it has to specify it has to hold the character value. The program tell the the program that tells the compiler or interpreter how the program intend to use that data. Now if I define integer, then the compiler will understand that you have defined integer and using integer. If I define character, it is not going to take that one. This is a part of it. And then the descriptor. What do you mean by descriptor? The collection of attributes of variable, and how this integer is used. How this integer is used throughout the program. If I define integer, how it is in the program. If I define character, how we are defining it, how it is going to use in the program. Now for an example, let's go to this one. For an example for this one, I'll go this one. What happened? Yes, let's take example. Include, which we have already defined it. I'll have to continue. You can able to std this, then main. Let's take example. We'll remove this one. Main, a simple program. Int I, printf, enter the value of n, enter the value of n, scanf, %d, ampersand n. Okay, for I is equal to 1, I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to n, I plus plus, sum is equal to sum plus I. Correct. Printf, I'm going to print the value. What I have to define it, I have used n and I have used sum. Sum is equal to 0. This is the program. Now I have entered 5, enter the value of I and 5 less than I. I'm using all the way integers. How this part is used throughout the program. Sum is 0 plus 1, that is stored in n, printf. So what does it means here? Here it says how the program is executed, how the operation is going to carried out in that program, in that variable. So attribute is computer data type is nothing but an attribute which specifies how you are going to use it. Okay, properties. What are now primitive? The first part is comes at primitive data type. Primitive data type. All the languages specify primitive data types. All the language specify primitive data type, but there are different format how it is defined. There are different format. Okay, different format for every language which we use it. Different format are used in this one. Primitive data type are data type which can hold one value at a time, or one value. Okay, one value. So what is primitive data type? It's defined in all language. There are different format which can use it and which can hold one value at a time. These are the points which we need to describe. What is primitive data type? Primitive data type is there in every languages which has different formats and it can use at one value at a time. Now let's move on. Let's move on to this one. Then why it is coming like this? Okay. Oh, I'm using this one. Let's move on to this one. What is this one? Data types, primitive, then there is a non-primitive. Then in this primitive, we have got Boolean, we have got numeric, integer, and floating. An integer is divided into byte, short, int, long. An integer is divided into char, float, and double. And non-primitives are this one. And we are going to see all this in today's our class. Okay. And we have got byte, 1 byte, short, 2 byte. I'm going to come down the slides again and again based on our requirement. So these are used in, this part is used in Java, because we are going to see how later on you can able to learn the Java language. But what is primitive and it is what is numerical and integer, we are going to see this one. We have already seen what do you mean by primitive data types. Data types is something that it will give you properties, attribute. Then we have got a primitive data type. Every language has specified the primitive language, but there are different format. It can hold only one value at a time. Now in that we have to see what do you mean by numeric. In that we have to see integer. Now let's move on to other slide. What is this? Yes. Yeah, Java, as I told you of Java. Java assigns size byte, short, and int long. Byte is the shortest one, which can hold 8 bit or 1 byte. Okay, which can hold 1 byte, and its value is minus 100, minus 128 to plus to 128. As I tell you, byte, 1 byte. Okay, 8 bit. That's the smallest unit which can hold in the memory location. Correct. This is the part. Okay, and the example is byte num 100, system print outline and number. That value will be printed out. The next part is nothing but that short data. What do you mean by short data? It can hold minus 32 to plus 32. It can hold the store number, whole numbers, which it can hold the store number, whole numbers. Okay, and if you see the output, if I have a 5000, it's going to print me the font. But in C and C++, it's short and unsigned. Signed is 2 byte. It's minus 32 to plus 32. Unsigned is of start from 0 to 65,000. See in different language how it is used. In C#, it is short and unshort, and sign unsigned. Both are of 2 bytes. Plus it is minus 32 plus 32, and it is used for this one. In Java, it is used only for short, sign, and it is from minus 1. So in different language how it is used. But basically here I am just showing you about. Here I am showing you about other languages. But if I say you, basically we use Java in our languages coming semester, so I'm just concentrating on Java. Short is nothing but a data type, which numeric data type, which can have minus 32 to whole plus 32, which can hold whole numbers. Plus it can in C and C++, it has 2 types, short and unshort. In C#, it has got short and unshort. In Java, it is called only short. In sign, and it is minus 32 to plus 32. Now let's move on to other one. What is this? Short int value. Now let's move on to this one. Int data type, which can hold 21 lakh, 21 crore, 4 bytes. 21 crore, minus 21 crore, 21 lakh crore to plus 21 lakh crores. The general preferred data type everywhere. It is a preferred data type. Yes, it is a preferred data type. Everywhere you use that one. If I have a 10,000, yes, it is going to give me the preferred data type output. You know it. What do you mean by integer? How you define and everything. Okay. In this example also, I have shown you what is this one, int. Okay. In this data type, already shown you what is meant by int. Okay. Now let's move on to other one. This slide. Now let's move on to other long. What do you mean by long? It's 2's complement. What is mean by 2's complement? 1 complement plus 1. Okay, for an example, it used to store 2's complement. What do you mean by 1 complement and other? I'll just show you. Delete. If I have a number 1 0 0 0 1, the 2's complement of this one is that I'll make it as 1 0 0 1 1 1 0. This is 1's complement. 1's complement. Reverse this number. If it is 1, it is 0. If it is 0, it is 1. It is 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Then plus 1. What will be the 1, 1, 1, 1, 1? This is 2's complement. Correct? This is how, whatever the number you get of the 1's complement, you are going to add that 1 to it. You will get a 2's complement of it. It is used to hold that number. Okay? And value range for a range value for a range value it is going to see. For range, in between this range I am going to get this value, and remember it is end with L. It is end with, note that it should end the value with L. Now let's move on to this one. If I've showed you up this slide, what is the slide? Yes, it says that it should end with L. Look here, it should end with L, and it is of 8 byte. Correct? Long. Let's move on to here. What is this? Of 64 bit. 64 bit means 64 bit means 64 by 8, it is 8 byte. Okay, this is what a long. Long is being used for this one. Now other primitive data type. Let's move on to this one. What is this slide says? I have seen this one, byte, short, int, long. Then we are going to see this part, character. What is this character? We are going to see character. Okay, showed code, ASCII code of it. Yes, if it is a 65, it is a characters values is that the maximum value is 0 and it is goes to 65,000. And if you see this one, like this one, if you see this one, what is this one? Look here, character 2 byte. Okay, character is of 2 byte, 65,000. Okay, let's move on to this one. Okay, this one, a most common use as alternative for UCS2, the format of 16-bit, which include character. Most language originally used in Java, C# and JavaScript also support Unicode. USB 4, UCS4, 32-bit code. It support Photon, started with 2003. Okay, these are the characters. Now we are going to see something different of characters. What are the operation we are going to find? Assign and copy, comparison. Yes, we are going to compare the string. Let's take example. Compare the string means what? Compare. How are you? You are comparing with other things. How are you? How do you do? We are going to compare with this one. First one. Then we have to concatenate two string. Concatenate both the string. What are the operations we are going to see? Concatenation string, and then we are going to see pattern matching, substring, implementation, all this. And then static length means where what we are going to do in static length, we are going to define the length before itself. We are going to define the length itself. Okay. Dynamic length at the runtime it's going to define. There is a major problem which we are going to see it. Dynamic length need to be at runtime description, and then this is static limitation. Dynamic static compiler, we have already a dynamic length, it's used in C and C++, where you're going to see it now how you're going to define the dynamic and other things like linked list, all other things. Design issue, primitive data just like special kind of an array, we are going to see this part. Okay, should the length be string, static or dynamic? Should the length of the string should be dynamic or string static? That is the one point. And it should be a kind of an array or something else. There are two different things which are the using to see. Then what are the character string type in central language? C and C++, it's non-primitive, use characters as a library function. And then others, Snowball 4, it's a primitive. Many operations are there already there in that part. Then Photon and Python, primitive type with assign a several type of operation. Java is primitive via string length. Okay, Perls and Java, these are the things. Now what is static is used in COBOL, Java string type. Limited dynamic, as I told you, in C and C++. This language special characters means why? When you see linked list and other things, you are able to others. No limited maximum things. In dynamic, one more thing, there is no limitation. It's Perls, JavaScript and Snowball 4. ADA support all three language or string 3 length operations that I am going to discuss in my coming classes. Okay, these are the things, character string length operations. And how you evaluate the character? Is it a writable? A primitive type with static length, they are inexpensive, yes, to provide. Why do you have them? Means let's take an example. If I specify the length of a string, length of my string as 12, but I'm using only 10, then I'm wasting my 2 part. Dynamic length is 9, but it is more expensive. Static, if I use 12, then I have to use that 12. If I'm using less, the space has been unutilized, whereas dynamic, it's very nice. At a runtime it will allocate the space and it will delete it, but the problem is that it is more expensive. Character string length, as I told you. Then we'll move on to this one. Look, compiler or runtime description, static, length and address, compiler time, describe the static. These are the things which done in static. Runtime description, limited dynamic string, limited maximum length, current length. We have to specify what is the current length, what it is going to take it, and what is the address of it. Correct? So basically what you have to see is that character is nothing but you just have to remember it can store from 0 to 65,000, and UCS 2 code, UCS 4 code, plus what are the operation you are going to perform on the string, and what is static string and what is dynamic string, where it is going to use it, and then what are the implementation of it. This is the part of it. Now let's move on to another one, primitive data type Boolean. What do you mean by Boolean? It's only two things, true or false. True or false, correct? It is going to get true, false, range value only 2, true, false, and readable. Then there is one more, primitive, oh sorry, I have gone this one. Yes, floating point. What do you mean by floating point? We get it in a points, more real number, but only approximation. Language scientifically, points means you are using in a scientific use. Float, double, other. Usually the first format which was given as that 8-bit is used for exponential, 32-bit for fraction, and 1 bit for sign. This is of 32 bits, correct? Now IEEE format which was given is 64-bit. What it says that? It says that 11 bits are used for exponential. Imagine 11 bit of exponential power, then there is a fraction of 52 bits, and then 1 bit is used for sign bit. This is what float. And this one other point, in C++, it is float 32-bit or 4-byte 7 decimal, and this is the range. In C#, double is used for 64-bit. It is double the value of float. Whatever the value you stored in the float, it will be take the double value of it. Float in C#, it is 32-bit, and in C# double it 64-bit. Java 32-bit 64. Just say doubling it. Okay. Python, JavaScript, only numbers. That Python, it's float, only float. Here also float. Swift, it is 64. Decimal numbers 7, 15, 7, 15, 7, 15, 15, 15. So where in different language how it is used. This is the part of this one, float. The only thing you have to remember is that it has got 32-bit format, which is about 32-bit. What it says that 8-bit is for exponential, 32-bit for fractional, 1 bit for sign, and IEEE format is this one. Okay, and there is an example which I am going to discuss is as we move forward. The other one is, there is other one which you have complex form or complex data type, which is used in Fortran and C99. Python, that is 7 plus 3j, like complex, where 7 is a real part and 3 is an imaginary part. You have to remember that where the complex is being used. Complex data type. Complex data type is used in Fortran, Python, and C99. Each value consists of 2 float, that a real and imaginary part, and 7 is a real part and imaginary, literal form. Correct? We are going to see this one. We are going to stop at this point, and I am going to see whatever the next part. So what we have seen today? We have seen this part. Okay, we have seen all this one. We have seen all this one. Let's move on to this one. I'll review pen. I'll move on to block pen. This one, we have finished this part. Okay, only this part. We have finished only this part. We have seen Boolean, we have seen numeric, we have seen data type, what is the definition of, we have seen integer, we have seen floating point, which are, what about this one, we have seen this part, and we have seen already this part. In my next class, I am going to continue with this part, and we have used this one, 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 we have used this one. Float, I have already told you, float F 4 byte, and double is a 8 byte. Boolean is 1 bit. We have already used all this one. Okay, I'll stop here and we'll see in our next class how things are going. Thank you very much.